They treated her as if she were worth nothing, mocked her mistakes, and even spread lies to destroy her reputation. But every time Su Nianfeng was left alone, Su Muyun, the most popular boy in the school, appeared to defend her. What no one imagined was that these two young people, raised like siblings, would discover a truth capable of changing their relationship forever and turning that protection into a love full of jealousy, secrets, and obstacles. The drama begins with Su Nianfeng, a 19-year-old young woman who lost her entire family when she was little. Since then, she was raised by her father's best friends, who welcomed her as a daughter and gave her a home alongside Su Muyun. In everyone's eyes, they are siblings. However, living together for them seems like a mixture of affection, arguments, and small domestic wars. Nianfeng cooks, washes, and keeps the house in order, while Muyun leaves everything lying around and makes fun of her whenever he can. Although he usually drives her crazy, Su Muyun hides an enormous affection for Nianfeng. In public, he acts as if the food she prepares is terrible, but as soon as she leaves, he eats it happily. He also pretends that he does not care what she does, although he always knows where she is, who she talks to, and whether she has eaten. At school, Muyun is a true celebrity. He is handsome, intelligent, excellent at playing basketball, and practically all the girls dream of getting close to him. Nianfeng, on the other hand, lives in his shadow, and many students only look for her to get information about him. During one of his games, Ouyang Qingxue appears, a beautiful, rich young woman who is used to getting everything she wants. When she notices that Nianfeng receives attention because she is close to Muyun, she approaches to bother her and speak to her with contempt. But the boy finishes the game, sees what is happening, and immediately stands in front of Nianfeng. With a single look, he makes it clear that no one has the right to humiliate her. Qingxue apologizes when she discovers that she is his sister, although from that moment on she becomes fascinated with Muyun and begins to see Nianfeng as an obstacle. That same day, Nianfeng finds a sick student taking medicine alone. Without thinking, she offers him part of the food she prepared and stays with him until making sure he feels better. The young man is named Lu Diyin and is moved by her kindness. Nianfeng does not know it, but that simple gesture marks the beginning of a deep affection. While she continues with her life, Diyin cannot forget her, and very soon he transfers to her class so he can be close to her. Diyin never tried to take advantage of Muyun's fame. He liked listening to Nianfeng talk about her dreams, even when she changed her mind every few days. He was the one who made her feel that her problems were not ridiculous and that a young woman with bad grades could still build a future. That closeness awakened jealousy in Muyun, but it also forced him to recognize that he had spent years feeling something that did not correspond to a brother. Every time he saw Diyin smile at her, he was afraid of losing the place he had held since childhood. Nianfeng is in her final year before university, but her grades are not exactly good. After arriving late once again, her teacher reminds her that she must take the future seriously. She decides to make an effort and stays studying late. When Muyun discovers that she is still at school, he appears with food and then gives her complete summaries of the classes she missed. Nianfeng hugs him emotionally and calls him the best brother in the world, without noticing the strange expression that appears on the boy's face. The next day, two transfer students arrive, Lu Diyin and Ouyang Qingxue. When the teacher allows each one to choose where to sit, Nianfeng invites Diyin to take the seat beside her. Another boy tries to get ahead of him, but one jealous look from Muyun is enough to make him back down. Qingxue takes advantage and sits beside the popular student, convinced that this way she will be able to win him over. However, Muyun barely looks at her, because he is too focused on the closeness between Nianfeng and Diyin. The teacher gives a surprise exam. Nianfeng gets very nervous, but Diyin calms her down and reminds her that she must trust herself. Thanks to the notes Muyun prepared, she answers many questions confidently. That is why she is devastated when the teacher announces that she failed. She feels that all her efforts were useless and leaves the classroom in tears. Diyin follows her, sits beside her, and explains that a grade does not determine her value. His words help her, but they also reveal something painful. Diyin tells her that he suffers from advanced heart disease. Although he seems calm on the outside, he could have a crisis at any moment. Nianfeng is so affected that she promises to study medicine to find a way to help him. Meanwhile, Muyun checks the exam answers and discovers that many were correct, although the teacher did not count them. He demands that she retake the test in front of everyone. Nianfeng accepts with fear, gets an excellent grade, and proves that she was evaluated unfairly. Muyun defends her again and reminds her that he will never allow anyone to call her incapable. From that moment on, Diyin becomes her study partner. He is patient, kind, and always finds a way to encourage her. Muyun starts getting jealous, although he tries to disguise it with excuses. He interrupts their sessions, appears accompanied by other girls, and demands that Nianfeng return home with him. She gets angry and reminds him that Dean treats her with more gentleness than he does. Muyun, hurt, pretends to feel sick to recover her attention. As expected, Nianfeng worries, prepares food for him, and ends up taking care of him all night. Nianfeng was not completely unaware of that confusion either. Although she admired Qin Yao and felt special affection for Dean, none of those relationships gave her the same security as Muyun. When she was sad, she looked for him without thinking. When she was afraid, his name was the first that appeared in her mind. Even during the time she lived away from home, she prepared food remembering his tastes and wondered whether he was eating well. However, accepting those feelings was difficult because for years she called him brother and thought it was impossible to see him in another way. The closeness between them is obvious, but Nianfeng still considers him only her brother. She is even interested in Qin Yao, a friend of Muyun who always treats her kindly. When a talent show is announced, she decides to participate to get his attention. Several people make fun of her, saying she cannot sing, dance, or do anything special. Muyun hears the comments and intervenes again. Although he himself usually jokes with her, he does not allow anyone else to humiliate her and convinces the teacher to give her a chance. Nianfeng and her friend Lu Zihui prepare a simple performance. During rehearsals, a girl named Qi Yuan, who turns out to be Qin Yao's girlfriend, makes fun of Nianfeng and advises her to withdraw before making a fool of herself. Muyun appears just in time and defends her so firmly that Qi Yuan leaves embarrassed. Afterward, he gives Nianfeng some pills to take care of her voice and tells her to go show what she is capable of. She feels that behind all his jokes, Muyun has always been the person who trusts her the most. Shortly before the event, Dean suffers a crisis and ends up in intensive care. Nianfeng runs to the hospital, determined not to abandon him. Muyun takes her by bicycle in the middle of the night and stays nearby, although he knows the affection between them could become something more. Dean manages to wake up and promises to hold on until Nianfeng becomes a doctor. She returns to rehearsals with more strength, while Muyun records her performance to send it to the sick young man. On the day of the show, Nianfeng discovers that she lost the script. When she goes on stage, she hears laughter and cruel comments. For a few seconds, she is paralyzed, but then she decides to speak from the heart. She tells a story inspired by her life, her insecurities, and the people who helped her get back up. Little by little, the audience falls silent and ends up completely captivated. When she finishes, everyone applauds. Muyun watches her proudly, knowing that the girl others called clumsy has just demonstrated a talent that even she herself did not know. Although she receives praise, some students keep calling her a failure. Lu Zihui tries to confront them, but Nianfeng decides not to respond. She begins to understand that she cannot control what others say, only the way she decides to move forward. Muyun encourages her not to abandon her dreams. He also prepares new notes, sacrifices hours of rest, and does everything possible for her to improve. Thanks to that support, Nianfeng manages to enter the Faculty of Medicine, while Muyun receives offers from the best universities. Nianfeng believes that she will finally be able to live away from her brother's shadow. However, when she arrives on campus, she discovers that Muyun rejected an extraordinary scholarship to study at the same university. He even deletes her dormitory application and rents an apartment where they can live together. Nianfeng gets angry because she feels that she will never have her own space. All the girls come close to her again only to meet Muyun, and that attention makes her feel invisible. Even so, he insists on staying by her side. At university, Nianfeng and Lu Zihui find a kitten trapped in a bicycle. They rescue it and take it to the veterinarian, but two students record the scene from a misleading angle. The video is edited to make it look as if they mistreated the animal. Within hours, social media fills with insults and everyone on campus begins harassing them. Nianfeng once again feels alone, humiliated, and accused of something she did not do. Muyun asks her to stay home, but she refuses to hide. When she arrives at the university, unknown students mock her. Qingxue approaches pretending to support her, although she secretly enjoys the scandal. Muyun appears and promises to prove Nianfeng's innocence. First, he posts a video explaining what happened, but no one believes them. Then he recreates the entire scene, obtains the original evidence, and shows how the recording was manipulated. The truth finally comes to light and the responsible ones are exposed. Nianfeng understands that even if the whole world doubts her, Muyun never will. The relationship between them becomes even closer. Muyun is named captain of the basketball team and stands out in every game. Qingxue tries to congratulate him, invite him to dinner, and get close to him in every possible way, but he always rejects her to leave with Nianfeng. The rich girl begins to fill with jealousy, especially when she notices that Muyun looks at his supposed sister in a way that does not seem exactly fraternal. While studying, Nianfeng gets a job as an assistant to Ouyang Yu, Qingshue's brother. The young man feels attracted to her from the moment he sees her. For his part, Ouyang Yu began to feel more and more guilty. He knew that his family had destroyed Nianfeng's life and that Qingxue continued hurting her. That is why he financed Dian's treatment, supported her at work, and prevented her from being fired when some employees tried to accuse her unfairly. He also began to feel something for her, but he understood that her heart was already occupied. Instead of competing with Muyun, he decided to help her find the truth, even knowing that it would mean exposing his own father's mistakes. Muyun distrusts the high salary and the attention Ouyang Yu gives her. His jealousy grows, but Nianfeng does not understand why. To her, Muyun is still the boy who always bothered and protected her. She does not imagine that he has been in love for years and has rejected opportunities, universities, and relationships so he would not separate from her. Qingxue organizes a birthday party and invites Nianfeng. There, she takes her to a room and plays a recording where the young woman's adoptive parents talk about the death of her real family. The audio seems to indicate that they were involved in the accident and that they raised her only to hide their guilt. Nianfeng's world collapses. She runs out, convinced that her whole life was a lie. Muyun arrives, confronts Qingxue, and accuses her of being beautiful on the outside, but cruel on the inside. Back home, Nianfeng demands explanations. She is so hurt that she does not allow Muyun to come close. She believes the family she loved for years may have caused the loss of her real parents. Unable to bear it, she leaves home. She walks aimlessly until she is completely alone and without money. At that moment, a group of strangers tries to bother her, but Muyun appears and protects her, enduring several blows in order to get her out of there. Afterward, he carries her home and stays watching over her all night. The next morning, Nianfeng leaves again. She rents a small room and survives by eating the bare minimum. She does not want to depend on anyone, although each day she is more afraid. Muyun looks for her everywhere. His parents cry and send her messages begging her to return. Qingxue, on the other hand, feels satisfied because she managed to separate them. Ouyang Yu discovers what his sister did and confronts her, making it clear that the audio was manipulated and that the truth was much more complicated. Dean returns to the city after learning that his illness has worsened. He finds Nianfeng living in terrible conditions and offers to let her stay with him in exchange for cooking. She accepts so she will not feel like a burden. When Muyun discovers that she is living with Dean, he appears immediately. He tries to convince her to return, but she refuses. The jealousy between the two boys is obvious, although Dean understands that Nianfeng's heart is much more connected to Muyun than she recognizes. Muyun and Dean analyze Qingxue's recording and confirm that it was edited. Nianfeng returns to the family house to look for her books, and finally hears the full version from her adoptive parents. Both families were partners and loved each other deeply. When the company went through a crisis, Nianfeng's parents went out in a car and suffered an accident. The Su family had no relation to what happened. However, Nianfeng decides not to return until she finds the true person responsible. Shortly after, Dean suffers another attack. Muyun takes him to the hospital and stays there despite considering him a rival. Ouyang Yu hires a renowned cardiologist and finances the creation of a special treatment. Nianfeng works with the doctor, determined to fulfill the promise she made at school. At the same time, she begins to rebuild her life. She gets a room in the dormitory, works long hours, and stops depending on the Su family, although she deeply misses Muyun. At her job, some co-workers try to take advantage of her. They give her enormous amounts of work and then take credit for the results. Nianfeng, who before would have stayed silent, confronts them and proves in front of the manager that she was the one who completed all the documents. She begins to gain confidence and defend herself without waiting for someone else to do it for her. However, when she injures her leg while leaving late, Muyun appears again. He carries her home and, tired of hiding, confesses that he loves her. Nianfeng is completely surprised. For years, she believed they were siblings and never allowed herself to look at her feelings in another way. But now she knows they do not share blood and begins to remember all the sacrifices Muyun made for her. She also understands why he rejected every girl, why he got jealous of Dean, and why he never wanted to go to a distant university. Although she does not answer him immediately, she enters her room smiling, leaving the boy with a small hope. The truth about her adoption changed everything, but it did not make love simple. Nianfeng needed time to separate family affection from what she truly felt as a woman. Muyun, for his part, had to learn to stop deciding for her. For years, he protected her by deleting applications, rejecting opportunities, and watching every step. Although he did it out of affection, Nianfeng felt trapped. That is why, before starting a relationship, she asked him to respect her independence. She wanted to know that she could be with him by choice and not because she was never allowed to know another life. Mu Yun accepted reluctantly, but he began to change. He stopped appearing without warning at her workplace, allowed Nianfeng to live in the dormitory, and learned to ask her what she needed before acting. Even so, he continued taking care of her from a certain distance. If she left late, he waited near the building. If she had an exam, he left food at reception. If he heard that someone was bothering her, he investigated first instead of starting a fight. Nianfeng noticed those changes and understood that Mu Yun did not only want to possess her. He was truly trying to become a partner capable of respecting her. Mu Yun begins a technological project and looks for investors. A powerful company agrees to finance it far too easily. When he reviews the contract, he discovers a hidden clause. To receive the money, he must marry Qingxue. He rejects the agreement without hesitation. As revenge, the young woman uses her influence to get him fired and sabotages every job interview. Mu Yun loses opportunities, becomes sick from stress, and ends up hospitalized, but he refuses to accept a life controlled by someone he does not love. Qingxue interpreted every rejection as a humiliation. She did not understand how a girl without her own fortune, who had spent nights without money and who was still struggling to find her path, could be more important to Mu Yun than her. She thought that beauty, family name, and power should guarantee her love. That is why she used contacts to close doors, spread rumors, and even manipulated contracts. However, every attack ended up bringing Nianfeng and Mu Yun closer, because both learned to face difficulties together instead of allowing jealousy to separate them. When Nianfeng discovers that he is sick, she runs to take care of him. She cooks, stays by his side, and admits that she loves him too. However, she explains that they still cannot be together. Both need to organize their lives, discover the truth about their families, and build something healthy without depending completely on each other. Mu Yun accepts and promises to become someone worthy of walking by her side, although Nianfeng reminds him that he does not need to become another person, only learn to express what he feels. To prove his effort, Mu Yun prepares a date at home. He cleans, learns to cook, and even tries to dance, although his movements are so bad that Nianfeng cannot help laughing. He also buys a lizard, thinking it would be an original gift, but she almost runs away in fear. Despite the mistakes, Nianfeng is moved because she knows he prepared every detail with affection. For the first time, both enjoy a date without pretending they are only siblings. From then on, they began a discreet relationship. They did not want to turn their story into another spectacle for others. Mu Yun was still jealous, especially when Ouyangyu visited the bakery or Diin sent messages from abroad. Nianfeng also got upset when an admirer came too close. However, they learned to talk before believing rumors. After so many manipulations, both understood that trust had to be built with daily actions, not with romantic promises spoken in perfect moments. Nianfeng continues working at the hospital, but the losses of some patients awaken the memory of her family. She begins to question her vocation. Mu Yun listens to her without judging and assures her that she will be able to shine in any path she chooses. She decides to open a bakery, and he gets the place, prepares the advertising, and organizes everything to help her. The business quickly fills with customers. Nianfeng discovers that her value does not depend on a single profession or on fulfilling other people's expectations. Qingxue cannot stand seeing her happy. She enters the bakery to mock her and then sends people to destroy the place and accuse her of using expired ingredients. Nianfeng is left sitting among the ruined desserts and broken decorations. Mu Yun arrives, tastes one of the cakes, and assures her it is the best he has ever eaten. Then he kneels beside her and prepares another one with her. The gesture reminds her that love does not always solve problems, but it can give strength to get up and start again. When the bakery was attacked, Nianfeng was about to give up. It was not only a business. It represented the first decision she had made thinking about her own happiness. Seeing the place destroyed made her feel that Qingxue could take anything away from her. Mu Yun did not promise to fix everything with money. He sat on the floor, picked up each broken decoration, and began cleaning with her. Afterward, they baked a new cake during the early morning. That simple moment convinced Nianfeng that he was not in love with a perfect version, but also with a tired, insecure girl covered in flour. Qingxue made one last attempt using the false documents about the accident. She was convinced that if Nianfeng distrusted the Su family again, Mu Yun would end up distancing himself from her. But this time Nianfeng did not go completely alone or hide what had happened. She informed Mu Yun and made it clear that she would listen to the evidence before drawing conclusions. That difference showed how much she had matured. She was no longer the young woman who ran away without asking. She was prepared to face the truth, even if it was painful. While Mu Yun works on his project, Qing Xue approaches again and takes a photograph beside him to provoke jealousy. Nianfeng gets upset, but he runs after her and explains the misunderstanding. The trust between them has improved, so she decides to listen to him instead of running away. However, Qing Xue uses her final card. She promises to give her the true evidence about her parents' deaths. Nianfeng goes to her house, prepared to finally discover who destroyed her family. Qing Xue presents documents that once again blame the Su family. But before she can continue manipulating her, Ouyang Yu appears. Tired of his sister's lies, he confesses that the Ouyang family was responsible for the accident. Nianfeng's father was his main business competitor, and Qing Xue's father caused the tragedy to take control of the business. The Su family was always innocent and raised Nianfeng out of love and loyalty, not guilt. The reconciliation with her adoptive parents was slow. Nianfeng could not erase in one day the doubts Qing Xue had planted, but she began to remember the years of care, sacrifices, and affection. They never tried to replace her real parents. They only wanted to fulfill the promise to protect her. When she finally returned home, her mother hugged her crying and her father gave her all the documents related to the accident. This time, they hid nothing. Nianfeng understood that a family is not always defined by blood, but by those who remain when life becomes difficult. Mu Yun observed that reconciliation from a certain distance. He no longer tried to intervene or speak for her. He waited until Nianfeng finished and then asked if she wanted to go back together. That small gesture meant a lot, because it showed that he had learned to respect her decisions. She took his hand for the first time without thinking of him as a brother. Mu Yun was so surprised that for several seconds he did not know what to say. Nianfeng laughed and reminded him that the most popular boy in school could also be left speechless. Nianfeng is devastated when she understands how much damage the lies caused. Qing Xue recognizes that she acted out of jealousy, because she did everything possible to win Mu Yun over and always felt that she was losing against Nianfeng. In one final attack of rage, she tries to push her, but Mu Yun protects her and takes her away. This time, Nianfeng does not doubt him. She knows that the boy was by her side when she was an insecure student, when the entire university harassed her, when she was left without a home, and when her own identity collapsed. When Ouyang Yu revealed his family's responsibility, Qing Xue lost control. She confessed that she had always hated the way Mu Yun looked at Nianfeng. He could reject all the girls at school without showing emotion, but he would worry if Nianfeng took 5 minutes to answer. Qing Xue thought that destroying their trust would be enough to keep him. Mu Yun explained to her that love is not obtained by eliminating rivals, and that after all the harm she caused, he could never see her the way she wanted. The confession finished freeing Nianfeng. For years, she carried questions about the accident and the feeling that her happy life had been built on a lie. Knowing that the Su family was loyal to her parents allowed her to recover the home she thought she had lost. She also understood that Mu Yun's affection was never born from obligation. He did not remain by her side because his parents ordered him to, but because from a very young age he made her the most important person in his life. After discovering the truth, Nianfeng visited the place where her parents rested. She told them everything that had happened, talked about her studies, the bakery, and the family that had raised her. Mu Yun waited at a distance to give her privacy. When she finished, he approached and placed flowers beside hers. Nianfeng thanked him for having defended her even when she herself doubted him. Mu Yun replied that she did not need to thank him, but she reminded him that loving also means recognizing what the other person does. With the truth revealed, Nianfeng reconciles with her adoptive parents and begins to close the wounds of the past. Dean responds to the treatment and recovers hope. Dean's treatment also reached a decisive point. The medicine prepared by Dr. Thomas began to work, and his condition improved little by little. Dean understood that Nianfeng had fulfilled the promise she made when they were students. Although he knew she loved Mu Yun, he did not feel betrayed. On the contrary, he was grateful to have met a person who gave him reasons to keep fighting. Before leaving to continue his recovery, he asked her not to live carrying the responsibility of saving everyone, because even doctors need to allow themselves to be happy. Ouyang Yu tries to make up for the harm caused by his family. Mu Yun, for his part, manages to build his project without accepting humiliating conditions. His talent ends up being recognized throughout the country, proving that Qing Xue could block some doors, but not stop him forever. Over time, Mu Yun's technological project obtained new investors who did not demand personal conditions. His work grew quickly and began to receive recognition. Nianfeng also turned the bakery into a popular place, known for its desserts and for the story of its owner. Many students who once mocked her now admired her. However, Nianfeng no longer needed that approval. She had learned that personal value does not increase when others applaud or disappear when social media attacks. On the day of the ceremony, Muyun did not tell her what he was planning. Nianfeng believed she was only attending to see him receive an award. When he began speaking about her in front of everyone, she remembered the boy who defended her in the hallways, the young man who reviewed her exam, the companion who searched for evidence to clear her name, and the man who picked up the remains of the bakery with her. She understood that every stage of her life was connected to him, although now she could remain by his side without losing her own identity. During a ceremony where he receives recognition, Muyun goes up on stage and surprises everyone by speaking about Nianfeng. He explains that every achievement was born because she believed in him when no one else did. Then he comes down, takes her hand, and brings her in front of the audience. There, he asks her to share the future by his side, not as the sister he grew up with, but as the woman he loves. Nianfeng accepts emotionally, while their friends and family celebrate that they can finally be together without secrets. And so this story ends, leaving a fairly clear lesson. Nianfeng began believing that she needed to be defended by someone else, but with time she learned to defend her truth, work for her dreams, and choose love without losing herself. Muyun, on the other hand, understood that protecting does not mean controlling, but accompanying, listening, and respecting the decisions of the person you love. Mockery, money, and jealousy can do a lot of harm, but no lie remains forever when there is trust, courage, and people willing to fight for the truth. End of the drama.